I told y'all I'm getting out of here, bro. I told y'all I'm getting out of here. Look, when you live in a city, state, neighborhood that people are texting you and asking like, "Hey, are you all right?" multiple times in a year, that's a sign that you should probably pack it up and go. Truly, truly. Like it happened once with the fires. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, are you all right?" And it's like, "Hey, honestly, I wasn't affected at all." We had some friends that were affected just by some evacuations, but the fire didn't get anywhere near us. Was it possible? Sure. Right? Worst case scenario, things start just all catching on fire south of Hollywood Boulevard. Next thing you know, I'm on fire. Right? After that, what do you have? You have people on the streets, quite literally in this standoff against law enforcement. And people are once again checking in. Hey, is everything all right? I'm seeing this stuff on the news. And it's widespread, bro. Like even my grandma texting me, left a voice note saying like, "Hey, yo, is everything all right? I'm seeing this stuff on the news." And keep in mind, she doesn't even watch American news. This is Z News. I don't know what time that comes on, maybe 3 p.m. Even she's checking in. So when you live in a place that people are checking in on you multiple times within a certain time window, it's normally, like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe there's too many school shooters in this area. Maybe there's too many hurricanes in this area. Maybe I shouldn't deal with 6 tornadoes a year. Now, is that some weak-minded thinking? Maybe. It might be. But look at the a tornado, hurricane, stuff that you can't control, right? Stuff that you can't control. People kind of actually bind together during these natural disasters. Oh, you need some help? I got you. Oh, you need some help? I got you. But when you got something like this that's happening on these streets right now of Los Angeles, it's insane, bro. I need to figure out how to fully unpack this thing. So let's start with what it is. What's happening right now? Basically, ICE raids started the whole thing. They were aggressively trying to find undocumented folks, criminals on top of that, and then you have this response. At this point, ICE needs to be better at being undercover. So then the people respond. Los Angeles is a city that is majority minority. So you have a lot of Angelinos, if you know what I'm saying. Just don't forget, this place used to be Mexico. If you go anywhere to Chinatown, anywhere outside of the inner city of Los Angeles, it's not white at all. I live in Culver City. White. Still a fair share of Hispanics, but white. And keep in mind, this is I'm talking Mexico over here. Like it's one thing to say like, "Oh, I live in Texas and we have a large Hispanic presence." I used to think that. But it's different here. It's much different here. When you go to a restaurant, let's say it's a Mexican restaurant, and you order some enchiladas, they actually give you Mexican enchiladas. Traditional. And you're looking at them like, "Hey, where the fuck is the queso?" And there's just the difference. There's a difference of the variety that you get. In California, in Los Angeles in particular, it is insane. I am sweating my ass off. So let me throw this cardigan off real quick, but I'm just going to keep talking. It's insane, bro. So you have people kind of hitting the streets, protesting the presence of ICE in their neighborhoods, wanting them to, basically get the hell out, stop arresting these people that have been working here for X amount of years, whatever it is. The people are going against what's happening. What happens in response? That's where it all kind of starts going downhill. You already have a governor and a mayor that cannot deal with the people, in addition to this overly liberal approach to things. When there's crime, it's much more relaxed on it. When there is a disaster, it's much more, it's a level of unprepared. They have failed over and over again. And so when something like this happens and they fail to react properly, or at least something cohesive properly, it doesn't surprise me. So then you have, of course, big boy Trump doing his thing where he's always going to throw his weight around. He's always going to throw his weight around. He calls in the National Guard, a handful of troops on top of that. They show up to California. Next thing you know, this thing just escalates to the next level. Anytime you meet a problem with more escalation, a higher escalation, that's exactly what it's going to do. You bring more people to the fight, I'm going to bring more people to the fight. You bring more guns, I'm going to bring more guns. I should probably, it's just the art of war, right? The more things, I think, one of my favorite lines from all of the Avengers was when Homeboy Vision was like, the heightened level of threat has increased since the presence of people that could probably handle that threat. So escalation is just always met on both sides. Very rarely is, okay, we're going to bring in all the National Guard and their objective is to calm everything down and get people back in their houses. Very rarely does that work, right? We've seen this across the decades, whether it's civil rights, whether it was BLM, whether it's this happening right now. Gay rights on top of that. I used to be like, this used to happen so commonly. I remember growing up when, people in middle school would just be missing because they would just go on these protests and they just wanted to hit the streets because of whatever reason it may have been. This is not something new, right? But you have this heightened level of anger now with who's in the front office, in addition to people hating who's in charge of California. And how can you not, right? These two have just never done. And of course, I don't know their resume that well, right? I'm sure they're getting some hate that is a little unjustified, but so that's the situation. That's what's happened here. Now, my TikTok feed has actually been flooded with this shit, and there's a lot of angles to this thing. I think it's ridiculous when people approach these things and they say, "Oh yeah, you know what? This is the correct side. This is the correct side." And that's it. If you disagree with that, you're wrong. And my biggest issue with a lot of these things that have been happening nowadays is you can approach a situation with side A and side B and think that there is something wrong on both sides. At the same time, thinking there's something correct with both sides. In this situation, let's call side A the government. The government trying to crack down on undocumented citizens, people that have been here illegally, and people that may have a criminal record on top of that. Side B, the people that think, okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. These people have been hard at work here. They've been contributing to the American tax dollar. They're building these homes. They're, helping agriculture. They're helping small businesses. They're doing all of these things. Therefore, you should stay out of this. Now, just from that, I want you to take, maybe 2 seconds and just think like, oh, okay, which side am I on? Now, side A is not a new side across the decades of this stuff. Side A is nowhere near. Almost every president you can look at over the past maybe 6 terms have had a pretty strict approach to how they deploy ICE, how they deal with undocumented workers, how they're going to crack down on illegals, how do they crack down on immigration control, making sure our borders are quote unquote secure. We don't want people coming in this country illegally. We want people doing it the correct way. And now you got this wave of side B, this era where the cover has been revealed over this correct way. And it's like, hey, there is no correct way of doing this. The system is broken. The system is broken. Therefore, I cannot get behind it to support what you're trying to push down onto us. And I think that's where all of this stuff kind of stems from, is that there's not a proper way to go about this. And even if there was, you deal with a lot of other issues, or you deal with a lot of other issues. One of the biggest things is the knowledge gap, right? There is not going to be some central Wikipedia that people can know that they can just go to and they can look stuff up. Okay, I got to find a birth certificate. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. You would be shocked at how many people that don't have a driver's license. The number of people that have probably changed their last name post-marriage but never actually changed their last name at the DMV. Not because they don't know the process. They can easily go over there and look it up online. But it's because they don't want to go through the cumbersome list of tasks that they have to do when it comes to something like that. Side A, side B. Now remember, the whole point of this is to understand both sides, and also just, we're going to pick a side. We're going to pick a side. At the end of the day, this is what you deal with in life. It's what you deal with in life, whether it's you figuring out between two jobs, which one you're going to like more, between two partners, which one you're going to like more, and then on top of that, views, opinions. Which restaurant do you like better? Which one has the creamy Alfredo sauce that has just a little bit of spice to it? And it's all right. I understand the garlic bread isn't that great, but they also have my favorite wine. So that's how I'm going to decide to go to restaurant A. Now then, a personal story. This is nothing new. I used to work at the Irving Mall in Dallas, Texas, a little suburb. Actually, a prominent city. I used to work in the Irving Mall at a shoe store called Finish Line. Now, the Irving Mall used to be a place of legends once upon a time. But by the time I started working there, it was the central hub for all minorities. Predominantly Hispanics. You add blacks on top of that. You had a handful of Indians there because they were just living there because, rent is lower than all the white neighborhoods. And then you have a sprinkle of white people. The Irving Mall was a place that people would throw their quinceañeras at, where you'd walk through this mall and you'd see people in these big old dresses. You'd see people eating the chicharrones wheels, you know what I'm saying, with all the, the good stuff. That was the Irving Mall. You could buy a piñata at the Irving Mall. That's where I worked. And every so often, we would be working a shift and I'd be standing there and someone would come in and say, hey, yo, you know what? They're apparently doing ICE raids right now. There's reportedly some ICE agents in the mall. So, just a heads up. Now, I have never felt the first degree fear of that, right? I haven't cared. I was born here. I've never had to deal with the hoops and challenges of not being a citizen. My parents have. I have a couple friends that have. Truly. I have a friend that was probably not a citizen until we were in high school. Maybe college. And we even celebrated him becoming a citizen because it was such a big deal. Sometimes when we used to get in little spats, I used to call the immigration office. I used to be like, hey, I know where he is. I know where he is. Like, just come get him. Obviously, I'm joking. But truly, I've never felt the first degree feeling of this. At most, I can feel this the second, right? The second of feeling like, oh shit, I'm seeing the fear in someone else. I'm seeing how they're reacting. And at the Irving Mall, when these rumors would come about, and very often I would see the actual agent come into the store. And, they don't really ever have papers or really have a process to do these things. They just kind of wander around. They may ask a question or two, like, hey, have you ever seen this or that? But the Irving Mall was full of trap gangsters, you know what I'm saying? We used to be part of a cut that just doesn't exist anymore. We didn't snitch, right? We also didn't storm the streets and throw throw beer bottles at police officers. But we didn't snitch. But there used to be a couple people here and there in the stockroom that used to be terrified of this shit. And maybe not so much terrified, but they used to be precautious. They used to say, oh shit, if I've been detained once and I had to do X, Y, and Z, so I just really don't want to deal with this again, right? When you get detained, it's not the end of the world. It's not great, especially now. I bet it's probably not great. I'm talking about 2008 time. I'm talking about the Obama times. This is much different. I think. I don't know. I've never been in the system. I only see a bunch of TikToks just shitting on the system. And there's no way it has to be that bad, right? Right? So I used to see this first degree from other people that I used to work with that were undocumented. They used to have this fear of ICE agents coming into their place of work, finding them, and then getting them the fuck out of there. Irving is a place of majority Hispanic people. That's why when I moved here, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't care. I tried to get away from it. I'm trying to be in Los Angeles. I'm trying to be in Hollywood, baby. I'm trying to be around the white people. Oh, huh? They have a party where? And I have to sign what? Oh, in a heartbeat. I came here for a reason. And things used to be kind of, some sunshines and rainbows. And now it's just gotten to the point where seeing the stuff that's happened now, seeing this reaction and then seeing people defend the reaction is where I've gotten as a 30-year-old adult. It's where I've had to draw the line where I'm just tired of it. I don't want to raise my kid thinking, yeah, you can just hit the streets whenever you want and riot, right? I'm not talking about protesting. Protesting is one piece of this equation. I used to be a hot Twitter aficionado, you know what I'm saying? And during the BLM movements, one of the biggest things that I criticized was people burning their cities down. People shout on me, hey, don't tell these people how to protest. Don't tell these people what they should be doing. And it's like, hey, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have thoughts. And at the end of the day, my stance has always been the same. Protesting is cool. You should always voice what you want to voice. Will you ever probably catch me at a protest? I don't know. I don't think so. No time soon. It's no diss to it. It's just, I don't think that's how change comes about. But if it's your choice, cool. I salute you. I support you. But when you start getting to the point of like, hey, you know what? We're going to start setting cars on fire. We're going to start throwing beer bottles at law enforcement. We're going to start throwing shit wherever. We're going to disrupt everyone's time to try to get attention on this 1%. That's where I start having an issue. Protesting in front of City Hall, protesting on college campuses, cool, do your thing. You shouldn't be throwing Jewish students under the bus, but you should do your thing. But now I've just gotten to this point now, and I pulled this stuff on chat. I pulled this, the recency of all this stuff on ChatGPT, and I wanted to read out some quick stats. President Trump deployed 2,000 National Guard troops, bypassing the governor's request, and later mobilized 700 Marines to restore order. DHS and ICE emphasized targeting individuals with serious criminal convictions and spoke against pro-criminal protests. Okay. So, side A's the government. Let's be pro for them for a second. What the fuck do y'all think is supposed to happen? Like, what is the ideal scenario? First of all, don't blame this on Trump. This has been a thing of a lot of past presidents as well. Our boy Obama, same thing. This has existed forever. Now, this idea that everyone is legal, it's silly. It's truly silly. Imagine if I go to Lisbon and I say, hey, you know what? I don't want to wait in this passport control line. Everyone should be a citizen here. I shouldn't have to go through this process of you checking a person that's coming into your country for probably the safety of your people, documenting my whereabouts in case I do anything crazy, right? I call in a bomb threat. They know exactly where I was. Now, we don't keep that same energy for the United States for some reason. And I do think it's just because of how far people have gotten to this point of discontent for the president and leadership in general. And the trust has been just wiped away. And so now you have this thing that is quite rational. Hey, we want to crack down on people that are here legally and have a criminal record. We want to crack down on people coming into our borders. One, for the protection of people, maybe some job security, I don't know. And then people use the same defense to these things, and it becomes so tiring to hear. Oh, well, then who's going to build your homes? Oh, who's going to cut your grass? Who's going to do this? And it's like, hey, bro, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but homes are built. We actually have too many homes. Can we just take a break with this relationship, and then we'll maybe open up the borders again? Let's just go on a break. And so this idea where it's like, oh, well, if you lose this people, then you won't get anyone else. And my biggest issue with this is that all of this is for such a subset of peoples. Now, does that mean that they shouldn't be protected? Does that mean that we shouldn't, voice our concerns for them? Nah, I get it. But to this point, what can we do, bro? And it's not just Hispanics, right? There's a handful of, that famous TikToker, Kabi Lame, whatever. He got, what's it called? Confiscated. They got his ass. He got released and then he just left the U.S. willingly. Cool. It's very unfortunate that happened to him. Yes. What a sob story. Luckily, he can go home and wipe his tears off with $1 billion. What a time. What a time. What are you supposed to do, bro? You can't have a country in which you just open the borders and people are allowed to just flood in freely. Is the government dealing with it in a proper way? Probably not. I don't think they've ever gotten this, let's say, right. My stance is this. If you get into the country illegally, you should be able to stay. You should be able to stay. You should be able to just go about your day. Obviously, if you don't do any criminal activity, you should do your thing. Do your thing. Go to work. Get a job. Meet a nice lady. Have some kids. Do your thing. But you have to get in illegally. You have to get on whatever bus, whatever train, whatever underground system you got. You have to do that to get to that. Now, if you show up to the border and you say, "Hey, I just want to be in this country. I just want to be in this country so my family can prosper and we can have a better life." You should be turned around immediately. Because you're already showing at that stage right there that you're lacking the American spirit to cut corners, cheat a little bit, and get what you want nonetheless. After you're in the country, it is my stance that they should leave you be, right? They should work on the borders and work on making sure that flow is as pristine as possible. But once you're in, there should be a year of tag. And once you get past that year, you're an American citizen. And you should show up to court telling everyone your story. Yeah, actually what we did is I got on this back of this van with some dude named Jose. Then we went to this taco shop. Then I met some Varun there. Yeah, it was really weird. We got into a little C-jet. Then we flew over the border and we landed in this place, Arkansas. Is that correct? Arkansas? Then I met a Steve there. Yeah, Steve, I think his last name was like Wilkos or something. And then after that, he introduced me to this nice lady. I got married. I had a couple kids. A year later, here I am applying for citizenship. And they should stamp it. They should stamp it with a green stamp and say, "Hey, great job. That's the American spirit. You worked for it. Now you're here. Welcome to the club." Huh? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think I should run for president. Like I've said over and over again. I think I should run for president. Now, I need to bring this to a place of I don't like what's happening here. I don't think this far left liberal side makes sense. And a lot of people defending it with, well, these are hardworking people and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, look, I get it, bro. I get it. There's probably a bunch of Indian people here ducking ICE to make sure that they can renew their passports, that they can get a job on whatever visa they're on. A lot of them probably won't make it and they probably have to go back. I've had some friends that had to go back. It is what it is, man. I don't know what can I do? What can the people do on an individual basis? This is something that, once again, is a systemic problem. But my biggest issue with all of this is it's one thing to say, okay, well, the government's doing this wrong. It's very plausible on top of that to say, hey, this side is also doing something wrong. Damn, I am sweating a fucking storm, bro. Like, do I open up a window? I'm about to have a fucking sweat towel. All right. Hoo-wee. The Texas in me is coming out. So all that to say, look, I'm fine. The rich neighborhoods are doing pretty all right. No effect at all. But I swear to God, if I go to work tomorrow and there's a highway shut down, I'm getting to work. I'm getting to work, bro. I don't think we should live in a world where that you can assault officers, right? These people become officers of the law to do the good for the people. And then we turn around and look, they're just doing their job. They're told to do X, Y, and Z, I'm sure. Oh, well, what about these dirty cops shooting people are doing this? There's always some of those. But this idea to shit on all cops, all law enforcement in general, just because of the actions of the few, it'd be hypocritical. It'd be hypocritical to not do that the other way around. Oh, hey, well, there's a couple of illegal immigrants that are, with this criminal activity, so we should lock all of them up. The same thing's happening with this view of law enforcement. And that's what I think is very unfair. You're a police officer showing up to work and people are pepper spraying you. People are throwing stuff. And then a week later, they're going to be calling you to ask them to help them. Hey, someone just robbed me. I just got into this car accident. So, this or that. I don't like where this is at right now. As a civilization, as a peoples, we can do better. And that's why I'm running for office. And no, I'm just kidding. Look, seriously, man. Seriously, I'm seeing this stuff all up on my feed. People legitimately asking me what's going on. And it's tough. It is tough. Nonetheless, now, me sweating my butt off. There's definitely something going around. I recorded last week, and I thought I just had a little bit of body pain. Oh, a couple of Advil. Oh, this will take the edge off. You know what I'm saying? And then it got bad, bro. I don't know whether it was COVID or not. Like I said, I don't test for that anymore. But severe body chills, lack of appetite, pounding headache, a little bit of dizziness. And for 48 hours, that was probably the worst I have felt in a while. At one point, I felt like puking, and my biggest worry was I don't remember how to puke. And there's still a thing in my head that remembers the feeling. The feeling of your body just absolutely rising in temperature, and then you're sweating, and then you're just sitting on this cold bathroom floor, leaning against this cold ceramic tub. And I was so scared of that. You take a couple of Advils. I went to work. I drove the hour. On the way back, I legitimately put sunglasses on, and I let FSD do its thing. I took a nap. Maybe about 15 minutes, and then it woke me up. But that's, for those that are feeling anything out there, it's going around. So wash your hands. Do your mask if you want to. A little hand sanitizer. Maybe avoid being out in public for a little bit. Maybe avoid those dirty ass kids, huh? But man, it's going around, and I hope none of y'all have to deal with that. Bigger story on top of that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ajay Patel Show. This is episode 68. 68, I think, yeah. What happens when the richest man in the world decides to go against the most powerful man in the world? You got this Trump and Elon war now. And it's truly entertaining. Right? First of all, I don't think many people thought that this relationship would last long, right? When you got two pretty big egos in a room, it normally doesn't work. Especially when you're dealing with the top, right? You're dealing with the top where people are approaching things in different ways. Trump believes in overspending to get whatever is on the other side. Elon is someone that has built companies based off of, hey, you know what? I'm pretty sure I can do it for the least amount of dollars possible. That's how he's built basically all these empires to become the richest man in the world. And you got Trump on the other side where it's just like, this is what I think. And now you got this war going back and forth, and it's insane. It's fun to see because now you have competition. When you got someone with enough money it's interesting to see if they can put up a fight against enough power. It's a good movie premise. I'm down. I'm down to co-star in it if you're thinking about it. I just need a writer, an editor, a producer, someone to fund the movie, a video person, a gaffer. I need extras. Ooh, shit, probably someone for hair and makeup. But after we get those people, I'm greenlighting the project. I don't have too much details on it. I think it's, an interesting strategy of Elon's to basically make it sound like this dude's a pedophile. But then it's like, hey man, you kind of knew this stuff going in, so you took the side of the pedophile. Like, if you're gonna admit he's a pedophile, then you took his back and you pushed for him to be in office. Like, that's also on you. So are we just scorched earthing this thing? I don't have too much details on it. I think it's something that's probably still developing from week to week. Or, maybe they'll kumbaya. Maybe they'll, Drake and Chris Brown this thing and just have a song together in a couple of weeks. On top of that, another thing that's happened is Lil Wayne dropped an album. The Carter 6. For those that don't know, Lil Wayne is one of my favorite artists of all time. He's in my top 5. Right, my top 5, let's make the list real quick. My top 5. Wayne, in no particular order. My top 5. Wayne, Drake, Kanye, Chris Brown. The Weeknd? I think that's a solid 5. Wayne is in my top 5. He just, someone that I grew up with, someone that, being surrounded by black culture, I learned about Dat Piff. I learned about the mixtape era. I learned about 10,000 bars. I learned about all these terminologies, bling and all this other shit he was saying. And it was to be this music that I'm listening to on this little dinky MP3 player that my dad probably got from some pilot in China. Oh, y'all should have heard it. When my Bose headphones used to connect, boom, Bluetooth device connect. That's what I grew up with. And on those headphones, I'd be rocking Lil Wayne. I'd be rocking Chop Suey. I'd be rocking the Carter 3. I'd be rocking Dedication 3, Dedication 4. Sorry About the Wait. Lil Wayne's my man. And so when an album like this comes out, you do have this hesitancy, right? Where it's like, I don't know if you can create a project in this era. I don't know what's happened with like the lawsuit behind this album for the reason for it to be delayed, whether it was something to do with his new label or his old label, Birdman, Get Young Money, Cash Money, all that stuff. Carter 6 drops. I give it a full listen twice. And there's maybe 4 songs on here that I'm like, okay, I would listen to this again. Now, has he lost a step in rapping? No. Fuck no. Obviously, I don't think things are going to hit the same because we're not in the same culture. I don't consume music the same, right? I'm not around people that are all talking about the Carter 6. Everyone wants to talk about, hey, these ice raids are pretty crazy, huh? It's like, all right, but what about the Carter 6? You don't go out to the club. You're not listening to this before a basketball game, and you have, you're not developing this relationship with this music the same way you are back then. But in my opinion, this album is just not great. Is not. You get to the point where it's like, hey, bring back the label. Bring back the big machine that makes people go through these loopholes, give people, crippling debt, so then they can release a project that recoups all this money because it is actually that good. People talk about the music industry being this free world now. You can start your own label. You can, same thing with podcasts. I guarantee y'all that this podcast would be higher quality if I was under a label. It's just how things work. When you have to report to someone and there's a system in place, things go through more checks and balances before it hits prime time. And so with this Carter 6 thing, man, it's a good album, right? It's not a good album. He kind of just sounds like Chance the Rapper once he released The Big Day. And it's like, oh, peanut butter is an elephant, peanut butter and elephants. Ooh, yeah, yeah. And it's like, what am I listening to, bro? This is Wayne. This is one of the goats, bro. I'm listening to Wayne, and this is what I'm hearing. It just, the things that we're missing is so small too, right? You're missing that one track. You're missing that one track with Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki Minaj. That becomes the track of the summer. That becomes the track of the summer. You're missing the songs that have just so much more production behind it. There's this new TikTok trend happening now where people are on the same train, and it's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take this Lil Wayne song and properly produce it. Add whatever 808s that need to be behind it. Add whatever sounds and this and that on top of the rapping that's already still the same from Lil Wayne. And now listen to this song. And it'll blow your mind at fucking the talent of some of these people. These TikTok superstars. These TikTok producer superstars. But this album just isn't great, man. And, you know, like, it's just, I feel like it's just a thing now of like, hey, I need to get a project out. And then I need to go on tour so I can make some money, so I can, you know, do this and that. To release the tour dates before the album even comes out feels crazy to me. Truly. So I just wanted to talk about a little bit about that album. Y'all check it out, you know, let me know what your thoughts are. I don't really have that many more topics other than the summer is ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. The summer is ahead of us. Make sure you put down that grilled stuffed cheese burrito and those cinnamon twists if they still make those. And remember, the summer is ahead of us. You got to start dropping those pounds now. Before you know it, you will be taking your shirt off in front of somebody. And you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You can't afford to have that extra soda or that extra scoop of ice cream. You gotta be ready now. The summer is ahead of us. Be prepared. Clean your pool. Get the drinks ready. Start learning a little cocktail recipe or two. Buy some watermelon. It's time. The summer's ahead of us. I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been waiting to do a little pool party action. Obviously, the nighttime scene has dissipated behind me. But I can't wait for a good pool party, boy. With that all being said, do not forget to comment, like, subscribe. I think we will have a new episode of Kunal's Corner this week. We've been behind a couple weeks because my man is getting his master's. Straight up. It's just, you know, what was priority at the end of the day. So it is what it is. I hope you guys have been enjoying the clips on YouTube. I need to start posting them to Instagram. But if you have any feedback, any topics you'd like to discuss, feel free to send them in. Comment them below. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share with a friend. My name has been Ajay Patel. I'll talk to you guys next week. And goodbye.